Good evening. I want to welcome you to Long Island Housing Services' first gala that is being virtually done. It's kind of unique in today's world, but we're glad to be with you. Long Island Housing Service mission is the elimination of unlawful housing, discrimination, and promotion of decent and affordable housing through advocacy and education. And many people ask me, why did I join the Long Island Housing Services Board? I have spent over 40 years in the housing world. I have done both rental assistance, homelessness, home education, financial literacy, housing education, and home ownership. And I felt that with my knowledge of these programs and my dedication to fair housing, I wanted to be able to continue in this role of providing help to those that are needed. And I became president of the board because I was approached by Michelle San Antonio after my retirement and asked me if I would be interested. And having worked with her for so many years, and having worked with Ian Wilder, who was a member of the staff, I decided this was a great opportunity for me to continue in this mission. And you know, everybody knows that the not-for-profit world needs donations. And we get grants, but the donations are a key to our continued success. LongIslandFairHousing.org. Mail your contribution to 640 Johnson Avenue, Suite B, Bohemia, New York, 11716. Or you can text Give or Donate to 631-305-4385. I want to take this opportunity also to thank the Long Island Housing Service Board. Our Vice President, Stephanie Baldwin, Secretary Jennifer Martin, Treasurer Mike Wigataw, Rose Cicchetti, Joanne Durkovich, Joanne Gear-Key, Tawanda Harris, Linda Hasberg, and Emily Murphy. We also have an advisory board. I want to thank them for their volunteering of their services to us. Alec Ames, Frederick Brewington, Catherine Harris Marchese, Thomas Maligo, Robert Schoenfeld, Vivian Fisher, and Beth Wicke. And also, very important, I want to thank our staff and all our testers of this great agency. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do. Thanking the major galas, the gala sponsors for this evening. I want to thank People United Bank, Concern for Independent Living, Newsday, Long Island Board of Realtors, LIBOR, and Sterling Bank. And there's many others that contributed tonight. And thank you also to our Neighbors Club reoccurring donors. Our agenda for this evening will be introducing our honorees, Concern and Newsday. We will be hearing from some staff people, giving some information on programs, and we also have some great music to share with you. And I have the great honor of introducing Concern for Independent Living, our honoree for this evening. And we chose Concern because they're a critical agency within this industry for providing decent, affordable housing, fair housing. Concern for Independent Living has been around for 28 years. They started in 1972. They provide housing and services that enrich the lives and strengthen our communities. And they specifically deal with disabilities, community, veterans, the homeless, and they have provided so many units of affordable, decent housing. But the most important component of what they do is they provide support services along with the housing. So it provides those people and families that need housing desperately, but they also need the services in order for them to stay housed. So it is my great honor to introduce Ralph Fasano, who is the key to this operation. He started it. He's got a compassion, a knowledge, a dedication that nobody else has in this field. And I've known him for years. I've worked with him, and it's just a great honor to be able to introduce him to speak with you this evening. Thank you, and thank you once again for joining us this evening.
I can't afford to get my own apartment, my own place, my own space.
I found myself needing help, and it was okay. I mean, for me, it's all right to need help, but let people know.
Okay, thank you everybody, and it's great to be here. I want to thank Ralph and the Concern for Independent Living, because they conceived and came up with this idea and got everybody together. I'm happy these vets will now have a place on Long Island to call home, and I thank everybody who pulled together to make this happen. Thank you.
A home is a foundation, is your place of security, your place of structure, where you can just sit and you can plan your day, plan your week. It's peaceful. I love it. I'm happy. Look.
This is nice.
This is nice?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Come to this, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
I like how supportive like the staff is. They're very, they look out for you. Coda, come in. And it's just, you know, everybody here is so friendly that I've met so far, and that's really kind of like a plus, because nobody wants to live in a neighborhood that like you have unfriendly neighbors, especially in such a close-knit community like this. You show the people your tricks? Shake. Good boy. Shake. Good boy. High five. Yeah, good boy. Salute. Yes, good boy.
My life has changed dramatically since I've been here. I guess the best word to describe it is home. I have a place to call home, and I haven't had that in a long time, years.
faces of your children just want to live free. They cry out for the future, for tomorrow's sake. It's not a question or a warning, it's a promise they make. They say we are the change, and change is coming, sure as the wind blows. We are the tide, and the tide is turning, rising up so slow. Whether or not you believe me, it doesn't matter either way. 'Cause we are the change, and change is coming closer every day. We are not bringing a message of hope. We are all clinging to one small rope. Our house is on fire, but the walls still stand. Ask yourself, what will you do? Now the time is at hand. We say we are the change, and change is coming, sure as the wind blows. We are the tide, and the tide is turning, rising up so slow. Whether or not you believe me, it doesn't matter either way. 'Cause we are the change, and change is coming closer every day. Why waste time pointing fingers at each other? My sisters and my brothers, the hour of blame is past. Now's our time. If we stand with one another, there's a chance we can recover, but we must grab it fast. 'Cause we are the change, and change is coming, sure as the wind blows. We are the tide, and the tide is turning, rising up so slow. Whether or not you believe me, it doesn't matter either way. 'Cause we are the change, and change is coming closer every day. We are the change, and change is coming. We are the change, and change is coming. We are the change, and change is coming closer every day.
Just He wrote that song.
Hi, my name is Marion Reed. I am the Deputy Director of Long Island Housing Services. I've been employed with Long Island Housing Services since 1994. Prior to that, I was a volunteer fair housing tester. Let me tell you how I got to be a fair housing tester. I was looking for housing and I came across an advertisement for a 2-bedroom townhouse in the south part of Amityville. This townhouse community had 4 individual units, and each of them contained 2 bedrooms and 1.5 bath. I called on the advertisement that I saw, and I was told that it was no longer available. I went away on a trip to St. Martin's, which I had a wonderful time. Come back from St. Martin's, looking for housing, and I come across this advertisement again for 2-bedroom townhouse in Amityville. And then I call on it, I'm told that it's not available. I continue to look for housing as the week goes by in March, and then I come across the advertisement again. And I see this 2-bedroom townhouse, 1.5 bath, with the amount of the monthly rent. I call on it again, but this time it was a little bit different because when I was told that it wasn't available, I made this person aware that I had called a couple of times and I'm told that it's not available, but I keep seeing the advertisement. Eventually I was successful obtaining an appointment to see this 2-bedroom townhouse. It's a 4-unit development, and I arrived and the townhouse unit was being renovated. I was shown the unit by a woman named Peggy and her husband, who was maintenance, but at that time I thought that they were the owners, but they were actually employed for this landlord that owned multiple homes throughout Suffolk County. They showed me the 2-bedroom that was being renovated, and they made it appear that they were renovating this unit for me by saying, oh, you're going to have a new bathroom, showing me the bathroom. It was gutted and the kitchen was going to be renovated. Then they took me upstairs where the 2-bedroom and a half bath is located. And then Peggy's husband comes in the bedroom and he asks her, did you tell her yet? Did you tell her yet? And then she says, no, I didn't tell her yet. And I'm like, didn't tell me what? Then she says, we decided that we're going to rent this 2-bedroom to some college students that were attending schooling at Farmingdale College then. I left, and that was a weekend. Then when I went to work, I worked for an appraisal company, and went to work, and I'm telling, one of the appraisers about what happened. It just didn't seem right, because you're showing me this 2-bedroom unit and you're telling me that you're renovating this for me, but then you tell me at the end that you decided that you're renting to 2 college students. So then this particular appraiser tells me that it could be housing discrimination, which I've never heard of housing discrimination before. I've heard of employment discrimination. She gives me a telephone number to call. I called Long Island Housing Services. They completed an intake. After completing an intake, they informed me that they were going to do testing, which I didn't know what testing was, but was explained to me. They did multiple paired tests on the basis of race discrimination. I learned during that time about familiar status discrimination, which is discrimination against families with minor children. So me having a minor children, I'm in disbelief that it could be race discrimination. It has to be that they didn't want to rent to me because I have, a minor child. Testing results showed that the housing provider refused to rent this wonderful 2-bedroom townhouse to me because of the color of my skin. Ultimately, a complaint was filed against the housing provider on the basis of race discrimination. The complaint was settled, and I believe about a year later, there was an opening for job opportunity with Long Island Housing Services. And the one thing that I was told what they liked about me was that when I had alleged housing discrimination, that I documented. So I documented what happened. I put the date, the time, who I spoke with each time that I called the housing supplier. So I was hired with Long Island Housing Services, and to my surprise, there were 2 other women that were hired by Long Island Housing Services, and I learned that both of them and their families had also applied for housing at that same 4-unit townhouse, and they both were able to move in, and they both were successful when they applied for housing at the same complex that I was denied housing, and they were able to enjoy living in 2 separate units apart from one another with their families. And that's my story. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ian Wilder. I'm Executive Director of Long Island Housing Services. Thank you for joining us today for our 52nd anniversary Gala, celebrating the work that we do. As Connie mentioned earlier, our board president, our mission is the elimination of unlawful housing discrimination and the promotion of decent and affordable housing through advocacy and education. I joined Long Island Housing Services in 2009. Prior to that, I was a real estate attorney. I joined because I was spending all my off hours doing social justice work, and I wanted to combine my social justice work with the work I was able to do during the day. I've been very fortunate that Long Island Housing Services lets me do that and lets me help our neighbors secure the American dream and move towards a more perfect union. I want to explain a little about what I mean by that. To me, the American dream means that everybody gets to live where they want. Unfortunately, barriers are put in front of our neighbors that they are not able to make those choices because there is still discrimination even 50 years after the Fair Housing Act was passed. Our job is to help remove those barriers so people can make those choices without them. The same thing for a more perfect union. Not only do we work towards removing those barriers, we also advocate in public for changes in laws, for how they're enforced, so that people's opportunities are opened up that benefit all of us. As Connie mentioned before, you have a number of choices about how to donate. And there are slides throughout, if you haven't noticed already, that show you these options. You can go to our website, lifairhousing.org. That's L-I as in Long Island, fairhousing.org. You can mail it to us at 640 Johnson Avenue, Suite 8, Bohemia, New York, 11716. Or you can text, give, or donate to 631-305-4385. I also want to repeat Connie's thank yous both to our Board of Trustees and to our advisory board for all the work they do to keep our agency working. More than that, I also want to thank our office staff and I want to thank our fair housing testers, because without them doing the day-to-day work, we would not be able to help enforce the laws and make the positive changes for all of us. I especially want to thank our Deputy Director and Fair Housing Program Manager, Marion D. Reed. I also want to thank, in addition to her, our Financial Manager, Jill Garrick, and our Foreclosure Prevention Program Manager, Trina Kokalis. With the help of the three of them, we are able to manage and run this agency and provide so many services to our community in Nassau and Suffolk County. I also want to thank our major Gala sponsors. Our partner sponsors are People's United Bank, Concern for Independent Living, and Newsday. Our catalyst sponsors are Long Island Board of Realtors and Sterling Bank. Lastly, in terms of donors, I want to thank all the people who have donated over the past year, and especially our Neighbors Club, who are recurring donors. Those recurring donors come in every month, and they help us have a steady stream of funds to keep the agency going. Now, we still have more in the agenda for the gala tonight. We're going to hear from Newsday about their Long Island Divided investigation, and we're going to hear some more music from the band you heard before. Newsday. I'll give you a little tidbit. You know, they ask sometimes to tell people things that they don't know. 12 years old, I wrote for Kids Day, which was a section of Newsday that used to be for kids. So I have a special affinity for Newsday. But I think everybody growing up in Long Island has some kind of relationship with Newsday. They've been a force in our lives. The Long Island Divided investigation has particularly been a force on Long Island. It's not only changed and enhanced the conversation here, it's changed what's being done in our communities. That investigation laid bare how systemic racism plays out in denying Long Islanders the ability to buy a home in the community of their choice. The investigation actually had regional, statewide, and national impact. In response to that investigation on a national level, organizations like the National Association of Realtors rolled out a series of fair housing initiatives. On a state level, our state legislature held hearings and passed a suite of fair housing bills to improve enforcement of our fair housing laws. If you're on our email list, which if you're not, I hope you join, you can email us through the website to join, you'll get updates about those laws and calls to action. Importantly, these laws not only create requirements for what people are supposed to do, they also provide funding. such as funding a fair housing testing program statewide so that we can make sure that everybody has the opportunity to live where they want. Locally, in response to the law, both Suffolk and Nassau counties announced that they were setting up fair housing task forces. Long Island Housing Services was able to request to join the Suffolk Task Force and play a part in recommendations they issued. You can find the many recommendations from that task force on the county website. I'm going to mention a few. One recommendation that's already come to pass is that task force has now become a permanent advisory board, which we are pleased to be able to be a member of. The task force also recommended under Suffolk County human rights law, which is where fair housing law falls in the county, protected classes be expanded to include those who have prior criminal record and those with limited English proficiency, so everybody has an opportunity for housing. The task force also recommended that the 1968 Fair Housing Act requirement that all HUD-funded municipalities, such as Suffolk, affirmatively further fair housing, meaning they use their funds to actively desegregate. That's particularly important on the county level because towns and villages also receive funds through the county for it. They now, if we get the law passed in Suffolk, will be checking to make sure that the money is being used for what it's supposed to be used. We're now going to hear from Newsday about the Long Island Divide investigation, and then a word from their publisher, and we will end off with some more music from the new students. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, so that means I can't go out to see anything.
I won't do it. You can try another person, but I don't have the time to do it.
What is your availability? When can you start looking at houses?
But you don't want to go there, it's a mixed neighborhood. It's been the United Nations.
Bayshore has two school districts, Brentwood and Bayshore. You don't want to have Brentwood School District. You want to have Bayshore School District.
I can't say anything, but I encourage you, I want you to go there at 10 o'clock at night with your wife to buy diapers. Go to that 7-Eleven. They didn't buy there.
No, that's great.
I have to say it without saying it, you have the knowledge of the areas,
Yes.
I don't want to use the word steer, but I try to I'll use another
No,
word.
yeah,
I
listen,
educate in
absolutely.
the areas.
If I wasn't on this project, I would have never known how well she was treated.
I had no inkling that any of this was going on.
There's no way I would know this was taking place if I was in Kelvin's shoes.
Hello, I'm Debbie Krennick, publisher of Newsday. Thank you to Long Island Housing Services for honoring Newsday's Long Island Divided investigation. The landmark project spanned more than 3 years and touched just about every department of our organization. It's incredibly rewarding to see the long-term impact this project has had, something that can be felt far beyond the Long Island region and the state of New York. In fact, our team has highlighted our findings at real estate and fair housing events across the country. Long Island Divided continues to have an impact 2 years after its publication. In April, New York State announced it was disciplining real estate agents and conducting scores of investigations in response to our project. I would like to extend a special thank you to Newsday editors Deborah Henley, Rich Rosen, as well as the Long Island Divided team of Arthur Brown, Olivia Winslow, Keith Herbert, Ann Choi, Bill Dedman, Jeff Basinger, and Bobby Cassidy. Along with our owner, Pat Dolan, I'm honored to lead a team of amazingly talented staff who work so diligently to see this project through to fruition. We at Newsday remain committed to projects that show separate and unequal treatment is not acceptable. Thank you again to the Long Island Housing Services.
seems you're blinded by the haze of the hopeless. And I know it might be easier to drink Kool-Aid water, keep following water.